Hey everyone, it's Jenny. Just finished reading chapter 10, and I wanted to first off start by saying that, not gonna lie, I did have to get up and walk away from the chapter a couple times and come back um, because there were a lot of things within it that were striking a chord with me related to our system and a lot of paralleling with things that are happening in this book that I totally acknowledge with things that I experienced within my own job. It's like I work for the government or something, right? So, which sort of, but anyways. Um, so, first to start, I think that the opening statement did speak volumes. It said, preparation was our first chance. When that failed, a national strategy was our next option. When that failed, a humane and unified approach was our next option. If all we have left are miracles, then that's a nation that needs to look at itself in the mirror, right? So if we cannot join forces to figure out how to achieve the same goal of defeating this virus, then we have a problem. If we are so wrapped up in our politics and beliefs, it makes me almost sad to be an American, to be honest. It had said that nothing symbolized America's love-hate relationship with science more than vaccines. I think over the years I have noticed that, you hear the term anti-vaxxer so much more. And it did give the example of measles and, prior to the introduction of the vaccine, 2.6 million children worldwide had died every year, and now it's pretty much eradicated. I was also surprised to hear that other countries are becoming more distrustful of vaccinations. I really didn't. I thought that was just mostly happening in our country, I guess. And I like how the discussion related it to, if there are many people who are left unvaccinated, the exponential growth that occurs with a highly contagious condition. You just can't get away from it. If something is highly contagious, and you don't get yourself protected, you are going to spread it like a wildfire. It talked about how the vaccine is only part of the solution. It doesn't mean that we stop social distancing and mask wearing. And sometimes I feel like people are less inclined to get the vaccine because they're confident it won't cure the virus. And what they don't understand, it's a part of it. We have to reach that herd immunity in order to, get a grip on this virus. And we can expect that this miracle cure is solely due to a safe vaccine being established. That's not really reality, that we're going to come up with this vaccine, people are going to all get vaccinated, and goodbye coronavirus. Like, it's not that easy, but it is definitely a part of the solution. And it stated that efficacy comes more when people have been introduced to the vaccine. I found myself frustrated in reading the words that were published by Pence, in which he was promising a miracle. I don't know a lot about him, but if what is written in the book is true, he doesn't seem like an individual with a science base or credible facts to support these promises that he was publishing for public knowledge. A rationale that I liked regarding vaccines was a vaccine that is 100% effective if taken by only 50% of the public is no better than a vaccine that is 50% effective and taken by 100% of the public. And that's so true. And that rings again to the vaccine being part of the solution. So it totally made sense to me. And it also makes sense to me that the more people that get vaccinated, then the more quickly that the virus will become more rare. The numbers will go down. Hopefully, we'll flatten the curve. Now, we're about to potentially go into the workplace mandates, where I believe it's if a company has over 100 people, then, you have to have the vaccine. So, we've started that process at my job where we had to send in our vaccination records. And I know several people, at least 3 that work in my direct office, who are anti-vaxxers. And I've heard that they have all submitted papers to get religious exemptions for this. So that kind of makes me wonder how many other places are going to be doing the same thing. One of the people is actually a friend of mine, and she doesn't go to the doctor. So she's not going to go the medical route for getting an exemption. So I feel like things like that, if it is accepted and taken by agencies, that it could, again, further hinder our progress. It's kind of like skating around what's going to be required. I liked hearing about how Peter Marks took and recognized the value of trust, and had that strong stance that he would resign before ever approving some sort of a vaccine that was determined not to be safe to administer. However, we are reminded of previous chapters as well, where advocates were removed from positions due to their stance on the virus and knowledge of it from the very beginning. So if you weren't a total Trump supporter and you were advocating for what was true, then you were kind of removed from office. It was kind of scary for me to read about the convalescent plasma, how, you've got these different individuals that are going to promote and say, yeah, this is great, this is the miracle treatment or whatever, and not knowing, you don't have any scientific data, clinical trials, or anything to support what you are platforming as this treatment of choice. And that is definitely not a treatment that I would want to introduce into my body without having some sort of knowledge of it. So that was a little bit scary for me to read. And then I also had read, obviously, in the chapter that the data revealed that 5 out of every 100 people with COVID survived 1 week longer with that treatment. Doesn't seem to be very beneficial, if you ask me. And so let's see. There was another quote that I really liked. To maximize the use of the COVID-19 vaccine by American people, it is therefore essential that science and public health communities work with the federal government to increase the public's confidence in any approved or authorized product. So I love that it's talking about science and public health, and that it's basically saying that take politics out of the equation. And I wholeheartedly agree with that. I believe that our struggle with fighting this pandemic boils down to politics. And I am running out of time, but I'm going to just see if there's anything else that I really, really honed in on. It had mentioned that with science, constant reevaluation is good. They come out with peer review data, publish articles, and things that are available to the public. Nothing is hidden. And as an occupational therapist that does evaluations and reevaluations all the time, life is dynamic. And so with this virus being mysterious and changing over time, I feel it is very appropriate to be reevaluating where are we at today, what is working, what is obviously not working, And again, we're not going to have that miracle solution that Pence was referring to or promising to get through this virus. And I had written that why can't we just accept that this is a mysterious virus in which we can take measures to decrease its spread, given the fact that we know how it spreads, instead of completely fighting the system and not following mandates. It feels like to gain herd immunity, we need to put all the antis on an island while the rest of us work towards what it takes to defeat this demon. So, not a nice thing to say, but, the thought did cross my mind. And the last thought before I end this lengthy video is I had written, it almost makes you wonder if a study was done on people who followed science versus those who followed politics for advice. Okay, so like separating them on two islands, who would have the better and who would have the worse outcome. Food for thought. Anyways, I will look forward to watching and listening to everyone else's videos because this chapter definitely struck a lot of chords within my soul. So have a wonderful Thanksgiving and holiday week, and talk to you later.